Welcome back. This is part 10, the last video lesson in this course. There'll be more courses to come, but last lesson in the crash course in advertising results. Whenever I did my seminars for advertisers, I would say to the audience, you know, even though the radio station is sponsoring today's event, it doesn't matter where you advertise as long as you get results. And that seemed to relax them because they weren't going to be sold radio that day. They were going to be given information to help them succeed in any advertising that they did. But I like to use this when people say, well, I'm really like print, or I like Facebook or cable, but it doesn't matter where you advertise, as long as the ad works. I just want to get into a position to bring you ideas and make some recommendations that might help you. So you don't appear needy. You give them that truism. It usually relaxes people. Local advertising mistake number 3, advertise without saying exactly why you're doing it. Now, this comes back to my seminar for advertisers. Here I am in Winnipeg, and I'm saying to this audience, you know, if this were heaven and not Winnipeg, you wouldn't have to advertise. You'd be in heaven, everything would be fine. But here you have a day-to-day competitive battle with, and you've got to advertise, and you've got to advertise for the right reasons. And the biggest mistake people make is they don't tell the people who are working on their advertising why they're doing it. And so they don't get ideas directed at exactly what they need. And sometimes their advertising becomes hit and miss. So at your tables, what I'd like you to do is, if there's somebody at your table, the rep can take notes, the sales rep from the radio station, but go around the room and ask people, you know, why advertise at all? So everybody come up with at least one reason. And all of a sudden the room would get loud. Well, I got to build traffic. Well, I got to educate my customers. I need branding. So, and they would teach each other why they advertise. So instead of me telling them, instead of the rep telling them, these are business people telling each other why you got to advertise. And that was a beautiful part of that session. But then we take them and put things on the flip chart. We published a flip chart from that seminar on their station's letterhead or whatever. And we take it out and go over it with them 2 or 3 days later. So the follow-up was, here's what the advertising checklist we created. And you know what Chris said, the big local advertising mistake is advertising without saying why you're doing it. Why are you advertising? Now, I have a composite why advertise checklist of all the things that have come up over the years. These are the most often mentioned things. We've added a little stuff about the internet too. But you would take this out to the client and say, look, you know, big local advertising mistake, advertise without saying why you're doing it. Whoever's working on your advertising needs to know what you're trying to accomplish. What I'd like to know is what are 7 things you'd like your advertising to do for you in the next quarter or so. And so they look at this checklist. You're not telling them what they should do. It's kind of like ordering from a vending machine. You know, I'll take a Snickers bar. There's no pressure. I can pick any 7 things I want. So you let them read it for a while. You check off 7 things. You say, now, you know, no one ad can do all 7 things in 60 seconds or 30 seconds. So let's pick the 3 most important ones. Well, I got to build traffic, or I got to educate the consumer. So they circle those, and now you can have a conversation. Well, what do people need to know? You know, you want to educate the customer? What don't they know? What are some of the popular misconceptions about your business? Well, people come here for the first time. What surprises them? What would you like them to know right now? What's the one thing they absolutely have to know about you and your business? So I'm going to do my consulting and my discovery meeting using this checklist as a conversation starter. So you now have this tool. I think if you go down, you'll find a resource section, and it'll have the why advertise checklist, this form right here. You can download it, print it out. Always have a few with you. Leave it behind, put your business card on it. You can brand it if you want to. Feel free to copy it. But that's a very, I call that a power tool. And it really gives you a quick way to do a needs analysis without having to ask thousands of questions. There's a blown up version of it. All right. You've met three masters. This is master number 4, Eugene Schwartz. And I think this quote is worth sharing with you because it really talks about what advertising can do and can't do. Let's get right down to the heart of the matter. The power, the force, the overwhelming urge to own that makes advertising work comes from the market itself, not from the copy. Copy cannot create a desire for a product. It can only take the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exist in the hearts of millions of people and focus those already existing desires onto a particular product. This is the copywriter's task, not to create this mass desire, but to channel and direct it. So this goes back to triggering events. This goes back to the bullseye theory, but we're not creating a market. We're exploiting the existing market. And so you need to be talking to your advertiser, asking the big question, what's already happened in your prospect's life that may have created a need for your product or service? What triggering events cause people to come in here? Because we can't create the need. We have to take the need that exists and direct it to your business instead of your competitor's business. So that's another conversation you can have. Local advertising mistake number 4 is running ads that contain more than 10% cliche. And I had a program director named Bill Vansel, and he sent a memo to the sales department. He said, we have 23 advertisers who end their commercial with, for all your blank needs. We had somebody, for all your insurance needs, for all your used car needs, for all your men's clothing needs. So we had, he said, we're not going to record that anymore. Come up with a better slogan. Come up with a better tagline. We're not going to record for all your blank needs anymore. That's one of the worst cliches there is. It wastes the client's money and it makes our air sound terrible. So think a little further than for all your blank needs. So anyway, over the years, I've got a list of cliches together, friendly folks and all those things. But this is I wish I could tell you who said this, but I was listening to a marketing DVD one time. And I said, if you make a claim in your advertising and someone says, well, I would hope so, then it's not a very strong claim. We service what we sell. Well, I would hope so. Plenty of free parking. Open late on weekdays. Well, I would hope so. So if you can say, well, I would hope so, you really should not put that on the air. So I see these signs in restrooms and restaurants. Employees must wash hands before returning to work. And all I can think is, well, I'd hope so. But you have to put up a sign sometimes to get people not to do things. So this story is not a true story, but it's an example of all the mistakes I made when I first started selling advertising. And I hadn't read the books, and I hadn't had the training, and I didn't know what the success elements were. And I would listen, to the client and let them feed me cliches. And well, we have factory trained technicians. Well, put that in the ad. Yeah, that's exciting. I hope so. So this is Joan Chevrolet, and I go to Joan Chevrolet, and it's February. The parking lot in Madison, Wisconsin is covered with snow. Nobody's shopping for cars. It's freezing outside. And I go in to see him. He's on an annual contract. He says, can we lay low for February? We just not advertise. Nobody's buying cars. I said, well, you got a contract, and it'd be nice if you stayed on. You could advertise your service department instead of cars. Cars are breaking down, cars are freezing up. You could do a service ad. She said, work something up for me. Those are words you don't want to. Work something up for me. I said, Mr. Jones, okay, what do you want? Let's talk about what do you want to put in there? Well, we could do tune-ups. Okay. How much are you charging for tune-ups? Don't put that in the ad. I just want a generic tune-up ad. Okay. I didn't know there wasn't such a thing as a generic ad. So a generic tune-up ad. Okay. And you don't want a price. No, I just make it creative and tell people we have a service department. So I take that back to the station, write up a commercial, and this is what it sounded like. Now, just think about how many cliches are in here and how many times you could say, well, I would hope so, and how little you get out of it. So here we go.
WWOO, a 2 for Tuesday, 2 in a row from you two. Boy, what a cold day out there. 14 degrees, 3 below with a wind chill Have trouble starting your car? Well, the friendly folks down at Jones Chevrolet, 3800 West Beltline Highway, can help you fill all your auto tune-up needs. Yes, at Jones, they really care about quality work.
Well, I hope.
They love fixing cars as much as they love selling cars, and it shows. Jones's Mr. Goodwrench mechanics will treat your car like it's their own. Yes, if you want to get it done right the first time. You won't want to take your car anywhere else but Jones Chevrolet's service department. They're open from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. For all your tune-up, repair, painting, and auto body needs, see Jones Chevrolet. Excellence in sales and service is more than a motto with Jones. It's been their way of doing business since 1947.
So all of that stuff, cliche, that's probably 50% cliche. You sell them $1,000 schedule, you wasted $500 of their money saying things that everybody else in town is saying. And so if you want to be good at this business, you don't, because advertisers will tell you things, friendly folks, we really care and all that crap. But you want to get, whenever people start talking in cliches, you want to say, tell me a story about that. So I got friendly, trained, qualified person. Tell me a story about that. So I go into Jones Chevrolet knowing what I know now, knowing what you know now. And he says, I want to do a generic tune-up ad. Well, what are you charging for tune-ups? I'm charging $59, but I'm not putting that in the ad. Well, why not? Because you've got one of these franchise tune-up places down the street doing $39 grand opening tune-ups on your station. Okay, sorry. So he doesn't want to put 59 because, well, why don't you charge 39? Because I got better mechanics. Tell me a story about that. He said, well, Ed Whitlock, I just sent him to Detroit for the tune-up school and the master mechanic certification. Ooh. So the course cost me $1,000. I mean, I flew him out there. He ate and drank and went to the class. And I said, let's go meet Ed. And we go back into Ed, and he's got his master mechanic certificate, and shake hands with Ed, talk to him about the school. I talked to him about what he learned, and spend some time getting the story. And then I go back and I think, well, the problem is that the franchise tune-up place is doing cheap tune-ups, but they've got Ed Whitlock. So now I've got a story to put in the ad instead of a bunch of cliches. So you heard the before ad filled with cliches, very few success elements. Listen to this.
Announcing a special offer for owners of General Motors cars. Get a $1,000 tune-up at Jones Chevrolet, now just $59. Chief mechanic Ed Whitlock just graduated from the GM Tune-Up Masters program in Detroit. The course is $1,000. The diploma is in a gold frame over the service desk. You get a $1,000 tune-up for $59. You've invested good money in your car. Jones Chevrolet invests in good people to keep it running well. Call 271-CARS. Schedule your $1,000 tune-up. You can get points, plugs, and condensers anywhere. At Jones, you get points, plugs, condensers, and Ed Whitlock for $59. There's a difference in tune-ups. At Jones, you can shake hands with a master mechanic, but you'll get really greasy if you do.
All right, so you could feel and hear the difference if you just have a story, and if you know what the success elements are, and you know some of the principles you've learned in this course, you can get really good at what you do. Anyway, I appreciate you being part of the crash course in advertising results. I hope you'll take more courses out of this platform. And it's my privilege to have helped you along the way in your career. And let me know how you're doing. It's Chris.Lytle, instant sales at instantSalesTraining.com. And you can feel free to call me on my cell phone anytime, 773-501-7008. So take the quiz, go back and review some of the things you've learned, keep your handout handy, use the Why Advertising checklist, and thanks for letting me help you become successful sooner.